Alien continents inside Earth, LLSVPs. When we think of aliens, we usually think about space. However, geophysicists have discovered an anomaly suggesting that pieces of an alien world might be buried deep beneath our feet. Using seismic waves from earthquakes to map the inside of our planet, scientists discovered two colossal, unimaginable structures sitting deep within the Earth's mantle, right on top of the molten core. They are called Large Low Shear Velocity Provinces, or LLSVPs. They're also known as simply the blobs. One is located deep beneath Africa, and the other is under the Pacific Ocean. To understand their size, imagine a continent sinking into the Earth, but roughly 100 times taller than Mount Everest. The anomaly is that these blobs are completely different from the surrounding rock. They are much denser and have a different chemical signature. The craziest theory is that these are the fossilized remains of Theia, a Mars-sized protoplanet that crashed into Earth 4.5 billion years ago. While the debris from that collision formed our moon, the rest of the alien planet may have sunk into our own, where it remains today. The ghost species in our DNA. For decades, the story of human evolution seemed relatively straightforward. Homo sapiens evolved in Africa and eventually migrated outward. However, recent computational biology has revealed a massive, disturbing gap in our own genetic code. When scientists analyzed the genomes of some modern populations, they found segments of DNA that simply do not belong to any known human ancestor. They belong to a sort of ghost hominin, a completely unknown species of ancient human. According to the data, this mysterious lineage diverged from our family tree roughly 360,000 to 1.02 million years ago, but suddenly interbred with our ancestors between 6,000 and 124,000 years ago. In some populations today, up to 19% of their genetic ancestry traces back to this ghost species. The most disturbing part is that we have absolutely zero physical evidence of them. No skulls, no tools, no cave paintings. We have no idea what they looked like, how intelligent they were, or what eventually wiped them out. The living statue pandemic. Between 1916 and the 1930s, a terrifying and completely unexplained epidemic swept the globe, infecting roughly 1 million people. The disease attacked the brain, leaving victims in a state of statue-like motionlessness. They were completely conscious and aware of their surroundings, but they were trapped inside their own bodies, unable to speak, move, or sometimes even blink. Many died, more than 500,000 people, but thousands of survivors were left institutionalized, locked in frozen states for decades. Then, in the 1930s, the disease simply vanished. It was called encephalitis lethargica, or the sleepy sickness. The disturbing anomaly is that, to this day, modern medicine has absolutely no idea what caused it. Virologists and neurologists have studied preserved brain tissue from victims using modern technology, but they have never found a virus, a bacterium, or an environmental toxin to blame. Some theorize it was a bizarre autoimmune response triggered by a previous common infection, but there is no official consensus. We do not know for sure where the disease came from, how it spread, why it disappeared, or most terrifyingly, if it could suddenly wake up and happen again. Life, death, and the third state. Throughout human history, biology has treated life as binary. Something is either alive or dead. However, in late 2024, biologists published a massive review proposing a terrifying and fascinating third state of existence. Scientists have discovered that when certain organisms die, their cells don't simply power down and decay. Under the right conditions, cells extracted from a deceased organism can spontaneously reorganize themselves into entirely new, functional, multicellular life forms. What makes this an anomaly is that these new biological structures develop behaviors and capabilities they never possessed when the original organism was alive. For example, skin cells taken from dead frog embryos have been observed reassembling into microscopic xenobots that use tiny hairs to navigate their environment and push materials around. Similarly, human cells have reorganized into anthrobots that can move and even repair damaged tissue placed near them. In the third state, death seems to act as a trigger for cells to communicate, rewrite their own rules, and build a completely new life form. Scientists still do not fully understand the bioelectric signals that instruct dead cells to do this, meaning we might have to completely rewrite our definition of what death actually is. The Tully Monster. In 1958, a fossil collector named Francis Tully found a 300-million-year-old creature in the Mazon Creek fossil beds of Illinois. It was dubbed the Tully Monster, and to this day, evolutionary biologists have absolutely no idea what it is. It's basically a biological glitch. The creature looks like it was assembled in the dark from spare parts. It had a soft, torpedo-shaped body, fins like a squid, and two eyes that stuck out of its body on rigid stalks. Strangest of all, it had a long, stiff appendage ending in a toothy, claw-like mouth, extending from where its its face should be. Usually, when paleontologists find a strange fossil, they can at least identify its phylum, the broad category it belongs to, such as arthropods, which include spiders and crabs. This isn't the case for the Tully Monster. In 2016, a major study declared it was a vertebrate, related to jawless fish-like lampreys. Then, just a year later, another team of scientists completely debunked that, proving it couldn't possibly be a vertebrate. Despite having over 1,000 perfectly preserved fossil specimens, modern science cannot agree with certainty on what this animal is, what it evolved from, or how it relates to anything else on Earth. The biological time traveler. Biology has a universal rule. The arrow of time moves forward. You are born, you age, and eventually you die. However, floating in the Earth's oceans is a tiny, bell-shaped creature that has basically figured out how to respawn. It is the Turritopsis dohrnii, famously known as the immortal jellyfish. When a normal animal gets old, sick, or faces starvation, it dies. When this specific jellyfish faces severe stress, physical injury, or old age, it does something incredible. It absorbs its own tentacles, sinks to the ocean floor, and shrinks back into a blob of tissue. From there, its cells undergo a rare process called transdifferentiation. A muscle cell can change its gene expression to become a nerve cell or a sperm cell, etc. The jellyfish completely rebuilds itself and reverts back to its infant stage, called a polyp. It literally ages backward into a baby and then starts its life over again. Genetically, it is the exact same individual, and it can do this over and over again, theoretically forever. It is the only known animal on Earth capable of completely reversing its life cycle. Biologists are studying it intensely to understand how it commands its own cells to do all of this, but the exact genetic trigger for this biological time travel remains a mystery. The space roar. When we think of outer space, we usually think of a silent vacuum. However, in 2006, NASA launched a balloon-borne instrument called Arcade into the upper atmosphere to measure the faint ambient heat of the universe left over from the Big Bang. Instead of a quiet background, the instrument was hit with a deafening blast of radio static. Scientists call it the space roar. It is a background cosmic radio signal that is 6 times louder than the combined radio emissions of all the known galaxies, stars, and radio sources in the entire universe. To this day, astrophysicists have absolutely no idea what is causing it. It doesn't match the signature of primordial black holes. It doesn't align with the distribution of known galaxies, and it is too loud to be caused by any known atmospheric or cosmic dust. The star in a jar. This is an anomaly that happens right here on Earth, in laboratories. In a phenomenon known as sonoluminescence, scientists can fire high-frequency sound waves through a flask of liquid, causing a tiny bubble of gas to form and then rapidly collapse. When the bubble collapses, something crazy happens. It emits a brief, intense flash of blue light, and the temperature inside the collapsing bubble spikes to around 20,000 degrees Kelvin. That is more than 3 times hotter than the surface of the sun. For a fraction of a second, sound creates a microscopic, sun-like inferno in a jar of water. Despite decades of study, physicists still do not have a unified, agreed-upon explanation for why this happens. Some theories suggest the collapsing gas creates a localized plasma state, but it still remains a baffling mystery. The Eridanus Supervoid. When mapping the leftover heat from the Big Bang, astronomers found a massive region in the constellation Eridanus that is unnaturally cold. It spans hundreds of millions of light years across, making it one of the largest known structures in the universe. According to the standard model of cosmology, temperature fluctuations in the early universe should be relatively uniform. A cold spot this massive and deep is weird. While most scientists believe it's just an incredibly rare, massive illusion caused by an alignment of empty spaces, others have proposed a much more disturbing theory. Cosmologists like Laura Mersini-Houghton have suggested that the cold spot is a cosmic bruise, the physical scar left over from the very moment of the Big Bang, when our newly forming universe violently collided with a neighboring parallel universe. If true, it would be the first evidence that we are living in a multiverse. Terminal lucidity. This is arguably one of the most chilling anomalies in modern medicine. Terminal lucidity is a documented medical phenomenon where patients with severe, irreversible brain damage suddenly regain their memories, personality, and mental clarity just hours or days before they die. This is most often seen in patients with end-stage Alzheimer's disease, severe strokes, or aggressive brain tumors. For years, a patient might be completely nonverbal, unable to recognize their own children, and entirely stripped of their identity. Then, suddenly, they wake up. They speak perfectly, call their family members by name, recall old memories, and say their goodbyes. Then, shortly after, they pass away. Neurologically, this should be impossible. The physical brain tissue required to process those memories and form those sentences has literally been destroyed or decayed away. Scientists have proposed theories involving sudden surges of neurochemicals or electrical activity in the dying brain. The main hypothesis is the network disconnection hypothesis. Researchers suggest that right before a person passes away, their brain gets a sudden massive rush of neurochemicals. Instead of trying to use the damaged parts of the brain, it uses its very last bit of power to build quick, temporary bridges. This final burst would act like a quick reboot, waking up backup pathways. It lets the person remember who they are and talk to their loved ones one last time before their brain completely turns off. However, keep in mind that this explanation is just an hypothesis, and we don't have a sure answer as to why this phenomenon happens. The Boötes Void. This is considered by many to be the scariest place in space, and you'll soon understand why. The universe is not just randomly scattered with stars. Galaxies group together in massive structures called the cosmic web. However, in 1981, astronomers discovered a terrifying place in the constellation Boötes. It is a spherical region of space that spans 330 million light-years across, and it is almost completely empty. Based on the average distribution of galaxies in the universe, a space that massive should contain thousands of galaxies. In the Boötes Void, we have only ever found around 60. It is a dead zone so vast and so empty that if our Milky Way galaxy had been placed in the center of it, humans would not have known that other galaxies existed until we developed advanced telescopes. While most astrophysicists believe it formed by smaller voids merging together like soap bubbles, it has spawned extreme theories on the internet, including the idea that an expanding, hyper-advanced civilization, a Kardashev Type 3 civilization, is enclosing stars in Dyson spheres to gather their energy, effectively blacking out that entire sector of the universe. The Amaterasu Particle. In 2021, an observatory in Utah detected an ultra-high-energy cosmic ray that defied all logic. It was later dubbed the Amaterasu Particle, named after the Japanese sun goddess, and it packed an energy of 240 exaelectron volts, making it the second most powerful cosmic ray ever recorded. The craziest part isn't just the sheer power of the particle, it's where it came from. When astronomers traced the particle's trajectory back into space, it pointed directly to the local void, a massive, completely empty region of space bordering the Milky Way. There are no active galaxies, supermassive black holes, or supernovae in that direction capable of firing such a particle. Scientists have no idea what could act as a cosmic particle accelerator in a dead zone. One of the main theories is that it fired out from a nearby active star-forming galaxy, such as M82, but we don't have 100% certainty. Miyake Events. When scientists want to look at the history of Earth's atmosphere, they study the rings of ancient trees. In 2012, a Japanese physicist named Fusa Miyake was studying cedar trees when she found a terrifying anomaly in the tree rings from the year 774 AD. She found a massive, inexplicable spike in carbon-14, an isotope created when high-energy cosmic rays smash into our atmosphere. Whatever hit the Earth in 774 AD caused an incredibly powerful wave of radiation. However, there is no historical record of a mass extinction, and no one knows where the radiation came from. Furthermore, researchers have since found several other Miyake events hidden in tree rings throughout history, occurring roughly every 1,000 years. Today's leading theory is that these are unimaginably massive solar flares, also known as solar proton events. Either way, Earth is periodically being hit by invisible, colossal waves of cosmic radiation from an unknown source. JWST's Little Red Dots. When the James Webb Space Telescope finally looked back at the cosmic dawn, the universe just a few hundred million years after the Big Bang, astronomers expected to see tiny, chaotic baby galaxies just starting to form stars. Instead, they found something completely unexpected. The telescope spotted what scientists are calling little red dots, which are early galaxies that appeared impossibly massive. According to our standard model of how the universe evolved, there simply hadn't been enough time since the Big Bang for galaxies to gather that much mass and mature that quickly. Recently, scientists have proposed a partial explanation. These galaxies might be hiding incredibly voracious, supermassive black holes that are consuming gas so violently the friction creates an illusion of extra mass and starlight. However, this only replaces one anomaly with another. Now, astrophysicists are left trying to explain how supermassive black holes could have possibly gotten that huge that early in the universe's lifespan. The light could also be caused by exceptional bursts of star formation. In the chaotic early universe, stars might have formed in brief, incredibly brilliant pulses. If a galaxy undergoes one of these intense starburst phases, even a small galaxy might appear blindingly bright to our telescopes. Still, as of now, we don't have a certain answer. LFBOTs and the Tasmanian Devil explosion. In 2022, astronomers spotted a massive cosmic explosion billions of light years away. They classified it as a luminous fast blue optical transient. These are already incredibly rare, but this specific explosion, nicknamed the Tasmanian Devil, did something a dead star should never do. Months after the initial explosion faded, the dead star exploded again, and then it did it again. Over a period of 120 days, the Tasmanian Devil flared up at supernova-level brightness 14 separate times. The flares were as powerful as the original explosion, but lasted only a few minutes each. According to everything we know about stellar death, a supernova is a one-time final event. A star blows up, and what is left becomes a neutron star or a black hole. There is no known mechanism in astrophysics that allows a star to completely detonate and then somehow continue to generate supernova-level explosions every few weeks. The main theory is that the original explosion left behind an incredibly fast-spinning magnetar or an actively feeding black hole. As leftover chunks of the dead star's outer shell fall back inward, they crash into the massive energy spinning off this core, triggering those violent, repeated flashes of light. If you want to discuss this video or suggest an idea for the next one, join my Discord, link in the description.